and longtime admirer of Mark Cuban. His brother's a good friend of mine. I think it's a real point of pride that someone from Mount Lebanon's made it as big as he has, and of his own volition. But boy, did he mess up. Of all things, some basic economics. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Hope you'll check those out as well. Pirates 9, Nationals 4. Nice way to bounce back, of course, from being no-hit the previous night at Wrigley Field. This wasn't exactly the offensive outbreak that the score would suggest. 8 hits, 2 of them were doubles, the rest singles. 9 walks by Washington pitchers. But again, this is how you should respond to being embarrassed. And I do know that the players, when something like that happens, are embarrassed. I don't know about the rest of the operation above them, whether that's field level, the front office, or heck, all the way up to the ownership. If anyone's been more publicly and vocally critical of Bob Nutting's tenure, and I'm talking about going all the way back through the entirety of the tenure beginning in 2007, I'm not aware of them. Doesn't mean they don't exist, means that I'm unaware of them. It also means that I feel like I have held his figurative feet to the fire as much or more than anyone in town. But here's the thing that goes with that. You gotta be accurate or else you lose your credibility. If you want to get somebody out from ownership, there's obviously no mechanism to do that. Not for a fan, not for media, not anybody. But you're best served along the way by making sure that what you're saying is correct, or for that matter, plausible. Otherwise, you disintegrate into what basically our politics have become, which is you can say absolutely anything, even if you know it's not true, so long as it attains the objective of winning the election. I'd like to think most people are a little bit smarter than that, including people who follow the Pirates. If you say something that's completely absurd about Nutting and the people on the inside know that it's absurd and know that it's untrue, it's not going to have any impact. Whereas if you come at them with very real things, like say, for instance, the state of the Latin American operation, you call it to their attention, you put forth facts and figures, something actually happens. So Cuban puts onto social media the following. If someone offered you a job that paid $25 million or more per year to stand in Market Square and let the entire city of Pittsburgh yell at you, would you take that job? That job is owning the Pirates. Why would they sell? Now, he's used this line before. It is a tremendous line. It's very much what you'd expect from someone of his quickness and smarts. It's what you see on Shark Tank. One problem with it. If he had said this on Shark Tank, and he'd have Kevin O'Leary on that same set, that being Mr. Wonderful, his frequent nemesis on the program, Mr. Wonderful would look at him and say, "Wait, you said what? You said that Nutting owns the team because he's willing to withstand some public backlash so that he can collect $25 million a year? You said this, Mark?" And probably in that moment, Cuban realizes, ooh, geez, I kind of messed that up, didn't I? Yeah, he really did, especially for someone who owns a major league franchise, the Dallas Mavericks of the NBA. How did he mess that up? Well, let's pull out the middle school math texts. If Nutting were to sell the team today, not even today, right now, like say that it has to be bought before noon today, and he put a price tag of $1.5 billion on it, he'd have it within an hour. He'd have that figure within an hour. Look around the rest of professional sports at the post-COVID prices that are out there. You don't even have to look any further than the Penguins locally, who recently sold for $900 million. There has since been an NHL sale that crossed over $1 billion. There have been several of those in baseball where there's a lot more in the way of national revenues. Baseball is third in Pittsburgh behind hockey, but it's not anywhere else. That's just an us thing. He'd get his $1.5 billion. Do you know how long Nutting would have to stand in the middle of Market Square and let people yell at him and collect his $25 million a year to get $1.5 billion in total? I did the math on that. 60 years. That's a lot of standing in Market Square and having people yell at you, although there is a really fine selection of stuff to eat, pretty nice Starbucks with some friendly employees there. But it's 60 years compared to somebody handing you a one-time payment, a check for $1.5 billion with a B dollars. And if $1.5 billion isn't enough for you, you can put that $1.5 billion to work. You can go ahead and invest it. You can just let it sit somewhere and collect interest. But it's way, 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 way more valuable than the $25 million a year that Cuban suggests Nutting is getting from the Pirates. I think he's getting a significant sum. It is not $25 million. As I've reported for a long time now, it tends to be more in the 10 range. But even if it was 10 or 25 or if it was 50, it still wouldn't compare to getting a check for $1.5 billion, which I will repeat he can get today. So why doesn't he? Why isn't the team up for sale? Because he wants to own it. I'm not defending that. I'd much rather see somebody else own the team. I've spoken this, I've written this for years now. I don't think he's a very good sports owner. I don't think he's good for the Pirates. I don't think he's good for Pittsburgh. But I also don't think he should be susceptible to every goofy narrative that pops up in any form with just this universal and blind acceptance of it. This was not a difficult exercise on my part. I opened up the calculator on my phone. It took me 10 seconds to do it once, 20 total seconds to double check it. The end. So again, hate the guy, hate the stewardship as much as you want, but let's at least get some stuff right. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Paul, who says, DK, while I won't even get into the murky future that Henry Davis has as a catcher, can you find any justification for Derek Shelton to continuously bat Davis at the bottom of the lineup? Shouldn't the organization prioritize the confidence of Davis and show their faith in his abilities over the likes of Michael A. Taylor and Yasmani Grandal, who won't be in Pittsburgh next season? I assume the team continues to bat someone like Brian Dela Cruz in the 5 spot based on his potential to play. So why doesn't the number 1 overall pick get the same kind of opportunity? You know, Paul, you brought up a couple of really good points that I won't dispute. Henry should be playing more than Grandal, even though Grandal is swinging a nice bat and has for the better part of 2 months. He did so again last night, reaching base safely 3 times with a hit and a couple of walks. But we're way past the stage of this summer where that sort of thing should matter. Henry should be the priority in terms of getting plate appearances. And, I mean, batting order doesn't really matter that much to these guys. You're going to have to take my word for that. You're not going to instill confidence in Henry by putting him at 4 or 5 when Henry's not hitting. If anything, you risk damaging it further, I'd think. But the reason I'm glad that you posed the question that you did is, and please take this in the right spirit, it's yet another case of fussing over symptoms rather than the cause. We're talking right now about Shelton's handling of a potentially failed number 1 overall prospect. And that's not a Shelton thing. That's a Ben Cherington thing. That's an Andy Haynes thing. That's a minor league development people thing. Sure, he hit great in the minors, and every time you send him back, he's going to continue to hit great in the minors. Wonderful. We have established that he can hit pitching all the way up to the AAA level. But something happened along the way that prevented him from being able to do it at this level. Something went missing. Maybe it's recognition of a certain type of pitch, a certain release, a certain location. I can't say that definitively, but I'm certain that it's something. And there's a lot of blame to be spread around when something like that happens, and the manager is way, 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 way down on that list. You want a good example? And I don't offer many good examples from the previous administration, but I'm going to do it here. When Jameson Taillon was coming up through the minors, and he was a number 2 overall pick, he had reached the point where he could just strike people out with his curveball. He had this, and still does, obscene 12-6 curveball that would just fall off a table. Minor league hitters would never have seen such a thing, and they'd have no way to be able to react to it. So every time young Jammo was in trouble, he would just turn to Uncle Charlie, and it was the end of the inning. Well, the Pirates development people at the time saw this, didn't like it, and told the kid, hey, it's awesome that you can do this, but you're never going to get by in the majors without routine fastball command, and we haven't liked your routine fastball command enough. So they actually prevented him from using a pitch that would get hitters out, meaning the curve. Jammo told me this story himself, by the way. I'm not giving it to you secondhand. So he was forced to concentrate on his other pitches. He was forced to get out of trouble by using his other pitches, and it did make him more complete by the time he got to Pittsburgh. Did something like that ever happen with Henry? Who knows? Who knows? All we see with our own eyes is that young players who come up from the minors with this organization can't hit. And even the ones who come up looking capable for a little while regress and get sent back. Jack Suwinski, 26 home runs in a season. See ya, Jack. There are exceptions. Nick Gonzalez is an exception under this administration. But he's also alone, so I shouldn't even have used the plural. Everyone else who hits in this lineup, and I know that's a short list, came from a previous administration. These subjects aren't as sexy as something about the manager or the lineup. Those are easy conversations to enter, around the figurative office water cooler or whatever. A lot easier than explaining how Baseball America has the farm system ranked at 27th. But I'm way more into causes than I am in symptoms. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everyone listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We'll be back with another one of these Monday.